Take two. We're gonna try this thing again. My connection is trash and I'm not good at technology, so that's my excuse. So, waiting on Lacey to come back and join me. And how much better? Okay, great. Hey P. Oh, take three. This take three. My bad. Okay. Here we go. Hello.
Take three.
Hello. This is way better.
It's working. What happened? Did you
I don't know. My connection is garbage.
No matter. We're here today.
Yes, we are.
What's
okay.
up?
So, this is my friend Lacey.
Nice. I feel like I'm so close.
I know, right? And as promised, we're just going to talk a little bit about mental health because both of us understand that times are weird right now and we're probably feeling alone and a mix of a bunch of other emotions, Lacey.
All the emotions, honestly. I feel like if there was a rainbow of emotions, I have like sat in all of them for several hours over the past couple of months. And like some for a whole day, some like change every hour. But no, I'm so glad we're doing this. Let me make sure.
Me too. We had talked and we were saying how it's really important to hear from. Where are you now?
Where? I swear.
Just so we can see the surroundings, so we're all.
That's how bad I am with technology. I didn't even know I switched.
That's okay. That's okay. We're back. Looking at your cute little face. Okay.
Hey, the fact that we're doing this and like made it successfully into the stream is an accomplishment.
Yes, right. Here we are. Just that it's important to hear from people who aren't medical professionals. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I haven't done a ton of research on the history of mental health, you know, because the reality of it is a lot of people who are experiencing mental health issues and are discovering that and navigating that aren't professionals. They aren't people who have done a bunch of research and know exactly what's going on. It's just emotion.
Well, and the people who, like us, personally understand it are the ones who you hear the least from. Yeah. Like, you're right. It all seems, if you're hearing anything about mental health right now, it does seem very clinical. Yeah. And it's refreshing, I think. I know for me, like when I was diagnosed bipolar, I was like scouring the internet trying to find someone like me. Yeah. You know, I was like, I just need to hear from a normal human who has my thing.
Definitely.
You know, to feel not alone. So.
Absolutely. So yeah, as Lacey said, Lacey is bipolar. Yes. I have BPD, which is a borderline personality disorder. Yeah.
Representing.
Doing good, chilling. Yeah, we could either answer questions or.
Yeah, seriously. I guess we could start. I mean, unless questions pour in, I'll start by just kind of opening up about how the past couple months have been. Yeah. I think people, especially with pre-existing mental health conditions, have been, you know, thrown into a whole new adventure of mental health over the past couple of months. I think adventure is a nice word to use. It's been more like a train wreck. Because, you know, even people who didn't have pre-existing conditions are now vulnerable to having at least depression, but also like PTSD from all this, anxiety from all this, stepping back or introducing themselves to substance addiction to try to, or substance abuse to numb the overwhelming feelings that we are not naturally trained to cope with. Right. So yeah, for me, I definitely, before going into this, I kind of went into quarantine and COVID with a downer. I think a lot of people are experiencing grief right now, loss of jobs, loss of routine, loss of, it ranges. But for me, I lost my grandfather, traveled home to Nashville, and ended up being stuck in Nashville, quarantined in Nashville for 2 months. But I live in LA now, and my bipolar routine, like if I needed any grounding, if anyone needs it, it's now. And I didn't have any of that. And I thought going home to Nashville would be like good because I'd be around family. But, I, like many other people, have a lot of family dysfunction. And that like took me downtown every day.
I think that's definitely something that we have to keep in mind while we're checking on our friends and caring for other people, is people's home life. And there's a lot of people who are like, oh, it's such a good thing for kids not being in
not
school.
For everyone.
And it's like, there are children who are not in safe homes and are dealing with a lot, and home life is stressful. And then when you're stuck at home with that stress and the anxiety of your family, and your escape from that was your job or was school, that's really hard, I'm sure, to have like ripped out from under you.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think especially as actors, like having a creative escape is a huge outlet for our emotions that we have trouble regulating because of our diagnoses. And it's like, without even having auditions to focus yourself on, it's like I've had to find random things to get creative outlets for, And I mean, it could literally even be like trying to read a book, which is hard because my focus is way off, but trying to read a book, and then I will color code notes from the book in rainbow gel pens because I'm like, this is creative. But I'm not kidding. Like, or painting. I ordered more acrylics. I mean, anything, honestly. Even creating a routine for yourself each day is creative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
I know for me, I've been pretty lucky with the show coming out during this quarantine. It's done wonders for my mental health.
Yeah.
I have so many distractions that any like tense feelings, I get distracted with interviews or distracted with whatever, with Instagram and my fans have a way of making me not feel very lonely. I've been fortunate to have that support from random strangers.
No, I know. I've been so grateful for your experience in this, even though I know that there are downsides and tough sides, even grieving the loss of like the typical way of premiering a show.
Yeah.
Y'all don't get to have that. Yeah. But for you, knowing you personally, I've loved seeing that you've had positive distractions like this. Because I know it, I mean, this time is just all over the place. And I'm not to say either that stepping into a platform like this is easy. I know it's not. It brings out all of our insecurities and all of like any of those little voices inside. You're like, Yeah. Like, shut up.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's been cool to see. For me, I kind of had the opposite approach. I didn't have obviously a show coming out, and I found my mental health taking me into isolation. Yeah. And I'm glad that you had something to pull you out of that. But to give people another like side of experiences, and I'm not even saying isolation is always a bad thing. I think sometimes it's good to recluse and take care of yourself and restore. But for me, with my mind tends to go towards that. Let me play tricks on you and make you believe negative thoughts kind of place. And I kind of I stayed there in a negative, like, woe is me. No one understands how I feel. I'm going to keep to myself and I'm alone. But the second I started reaching out to people, all I heard in return was me too. And I was like, you too? You've been struggling like me? You're not crazy? They're like, no, I'm doing X, I was like, okay, this, the second I started to, I guess, open up, I realized I'm not alone. And it made me want to do something like this, where if we could access a community online, because where else are we going to have community right now? and just say, what's up? Like, me too, I'm struggling. You know, it's not all fun, you know, happy posts on Instagram. It's like behind the scenes, it's scary. I mean, at some point, my mental health takes me to like, and I know you too, Maddie, we've talked about this, but like, I go to dark places and I struggle with suicidal ideation. I've thrown some things and put some holes in walls over the past couple months.
I think that's another stigma about mental health. And I think it's the severity that saying suicidal thoughts has on people, and like how much it like tenses a room. And it's like, I think it's something that is pretty common with most mental disorders.
Definitely.
And I think it should not be like taken lightly, but also if I say like, I've been feeling like suicidal lately, it's not like, it's a lot more common. And it's just like, it happens pretty often, you know.
You're definitely, and it's
like that instant feeling of like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be here. It's not, you know.
Well, you're right. It's a loaded and it's a leveled statement and topic, because there are different levels to, and that's why I think a lot of people don't even understand when people say suicidal ideation, they're talking about, my mind's been going to a place where it feels like suicide is the best option. So I think about it. I think about like, I don't even, like, it's basically the feelings and emotions and thoughts around, I don't matter, I'm irrelevant, I'm too much, I'm not enough, I'm in too much pain, I just need to kind of let go and the world would be better. I would be better if I let go.
For sure.
I think to be brief, that's kind of where my mind, when I get depressive, will go often to that, like, well, I don't care if I die, you know. And it's just like,
you more feel a feeling of emptiness, because I know I can get to a point where if I mentally exhaust myself, I just get drained and I get pretty numb. I'll get to a point where it's like anything could happen right now and I don't care. Like,
you're just, and the majority of people with these severe diagnoses are what you're explaining. We get to a place where we're so overwhelmed with feelings, or we're so to the point where we had to go numb or empty, like you said, and you either just want to feel something, or you're tired of feeling only negative, and you're like, I can't escape it, and it's scary. A lot of mental health, it just, bottom line, feels out of control, and you're like, I just want to put things back in my control. But the difference and the different levels that I think a lot of people that get really tense and are less knowledgeable about people who openly talk about these things or struggle with them, is that I think they assume when you say a struggle with suicidal ideation, they jump to, oh, she's going to kill herself.
Right.
You know, and it's like, well, I mean, I've had my moments in my mental health journey. I've had my moments of genuinely wanting to do that and starting to plan that. And that was a part of my process that I survived, you know, and I'm hoping that going, and to be fair, I get really low still, but I think I've learned now, with getting to that low point enough times, that if I made it through the last time, I can make it through to see the sun again the next day or the next month.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I too, I have a history of my grandfather. I never met him, but he shot himself. He took his own life, and that's why I can't even have a gun for protection in the house or anything like that. Just because it's a temptation. It's when I get into those suicidal ideations, it's a quick fix if I get low enough, and I don't need that like lingering as a possibility.
For sure. And like the, not temptation, but like the option. You know?
Option, exactly. Because sometimes you do get low enough, but that's why, you know, it's so important for us. And I know, Maddie, you have this, I have this, you're a part of my inner circle that I can talk to and say, I'm not okay. And you don't freak out.
I'm just like, dude,
I get it, you know? I'm met with empathy, and I know we both meet each other in that, but it's so important to have that balance of professional help, and people like my therapist and my psychiatrist I can talk to, as well as your close friend group that can affirm you and build you back up on those moments where you're like, I'm breaking, you know, you just got to reach out.
It's definitely important to find those people that you can trust and you can talk to about it. Like people, like, because there are times where you'll be like, I'm having suicidal thoughts, and you need somebody there that's going to be like, what can I do right now? And then there are times where you're like, I'm feeling kind of suicidal. And then you need a friend that's like, yeah, man, I mean, it's Tuesday. Like,
yeah.
You need that balance of friends that understand it. And I feel like both of us are at a really good place in our mental health and understanding it. I mean, I was diagnosed when I was 17. And for me personally, I think everybody's diagnosis experience is different. For me, I was one of those people where I didn't understand how other people loved therapy. I didn't get it because I'm not one of those people. I am one of those people that's like, all I needed was that diagnosis. That's like the only thing I was craving out of it. Like I saw a therapist for a couple weeks and I was like, I just need to know what's going on so that I can search it and discover it and figure it out on my own. Because obviously everybody's coping stuff is different. Yeah. So I'm gonna need to take the time and figure that out on my own anyway. Yeah. And so I haven't been in therapy since then. And I think for me, that's the route that I felt most comfortable with, because I know there are a lot of people struggling with mental health who feel like the only option is therapy. And it's really, it's not for everybody. Just like anything is, like literally anything is not for every single person. Right. And I think for me, it was important to go and have somebody look me in my face and be like, you're not crazy. Yeah. This is actually what's going on. Like, here's what you're experiencing. And honestly, the second she was like, you have borderline personality disorder, it's pretty evident. I was like, okay. Yeah. And I went home, I did my research, and I just felt like, not like understood, seen, but I felt like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Like I just felt like it made so much sense to me for like something in my life that has never made sense. Yeah. And
it takes that pressure off of you. You don't have to carry shame for something that's not your fault. Right. You know? I know for me, I had a mixed experience when I was diagnosed. I think because the only personal like direct understanding I had of bipolar in my life when I was diagnosed with my dad, and a lot of my emotional trauma comes from his pain that he didn't mean to but did inflict on us and you know, the kids. And I was scared because I thought that meant I was effed. I was like, there's no hope. Oh no. Buckle up, because I'm actually, you know, and it was a mix of things. But once I started to, and this is why I admire you so much, because you are so motivated and so, like, you take the initiative in your relationships, in your life, in your career, to just figure things out. And that's why I think we were quickly, you know, we clicked, because it was like, I see in you like a hunt for truth and to understand. And I see that because I get that. And I'm hungry for that too, because there's a lot that I don't understand and that I'm in turmoil over. But the second you're able to have a clear, validated diagnosis over something that you don't get, it opens up so many things for you of, yes, I'm seen, I'm validated, it's not my fault. Just and like, that's the stigma we try to break, you know?
Relief.
Yeah.
You know, and it's important to find people, because I know I've learned so much from you, and it's just like, I don't think I've ever really had a friend that had the vocabulary and perspective on it that I did. Like, I feel like we're very communicative, not just with each other, but like with the people around us, like with our friends and whoever we're dating. It's very easy. It becomes very natural for us. Well, not natural. I definitely had to work on it. Yeah, and I'm sure you did too. It takes a minute to like build up that courage to like look your friend in the face or look somebody in the face and be like, I can't control what's happening right now, and I need XYZ from you. Like, here's what I need from you. And it's not like I need the world. It could be like, I need space, or I just need like 10
like,
minutes.
I need you to not talk.
Yeah, like, please, what, for the life of anybody, like, just don't say anything else.
Yeah.
Something I'm just like, listen, I'm like, I'm so triggered right now.
Yeah.
And I need.
But our awareness around that, like, honestly, I'm so thankful for the growth we've had in our journeys to be able to be at a place where we can say that, of like, hey, I'm triggered right now and I need a timeout. Like, I don't want to say something out of my emotions that I don't understand. And so often I think we have a lot of similarities in our diagnosis and the way that we will be so overwhelmed with emotion that we can't rationalize in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, I will say things that I don't mean and that are hurtful, and I will self-sabotage. I mean, because all the voices I'm hearing are just, or not even voices, rather just feelings of like past trauma that's just like, you're inadequate, you're, and just I get defensive, because that's what you do when you go through trauma. You develop these defense mechanisms that you project to the world, even when what the world's bringing at you may not even be what you went through, but you perceive it that way. So it's a load of, I love that you made a point to say like that you didn't feel what you needed was therapy at 17. Because also, I love this, because I'm the type of person that's like, yes, everyone go to therapy, because it's good to have both sides. Because not all therapists are amazing. I've been to some therapists that weren't good and actually kind of put me in the opposite direction when I was struggling. So there's that. And the other side of that is, now I have been in therapy with my current therapist for the past 2.5 years, and don't know what I would do. Skleef just wants to say hi. Cameo. I don't know what I would do without his guidance over the past things I've been through. I mean, and I think especially for you, I'm so proud of you on your platform now, being open, because so often with people that become so big that they become just kind of an icon and a name versus a person. You know what I mean? Like, you represent something versus being an actual person. And I think people understanding who you are because of what you've been through and how you got to where you are now is the most important part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing what you're doing now and what you're going to continue to do, because I know it's going to be amazing. I always have known. But also, like, who you've remained true to all along and why you are who you are today. And this is all part of it, Like, we wouldn't be who we are if we didn't have the conditions we have to learn to manage.
I have definitely, I'm 21 years old. I'm still learning how to accept that part of me.
Me too.
I think something I definitely had to learn is, as out of my control as it is, it still follows me. Mm-hmm. So something that I've kind of put in quotations, like, for myself to repeat is like, it is not my fault, but it is my responsibility.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah. And that's specifically something I remind myself of regularly, of like this. And I'm still learning, even just in the last year. I learned so much about, like, of course, like, my tongue can spit screw some crazy shit, you know what I mean? But like, and I understand that, and my brain has this weird thing it likes to do that when I relax, I'm like, I like kind of like black out in a way but the people around me don't. The people around me don't know what just happened and don't see the separation between me and my conscious self, and then me being consumed with anxieties and my disorder. And so I'm continuing to try to be cautious of that, of I can forgive myself, but I have to make sure the people I'm around
are aware.
So just like learning to communicate to people around you and let them know what is going on and just say even something as simple as like, I'm not okay right now. Like, just like,
and you can leave it at that.
Out of control. Like,
But anything. If you want to, I had someone recently tell me, and this has been interesting for me because I put these stupid expectations on myself. That's like, oh, now that I've been diagnosed for like 6 years, I should be better at harnessing my episodes. And it's like, that's not how bipolar works.
Absolutely.
So I found myself like really beating myself up. I was going to either do like a Zoom call or something with friends and or try to do like a social distance, let's get together or something, you know, and just chat from however feet away with our masks on. And I freaked out on myself because we planned it the day before, and then the day of, this was right before I left Nashville, the day of, I was in a depressive episode, and it might have been the day that I started, you know, posting on my story, just like, I get so overwhelmed at some point that I don't even care anymore about being embarrassed about what I'm dealing with. I'm just like, I know someone else there has to be feeling the same way.
Of course.
So I shouted, and I even then felt so bad and beat myself up about like being unreliable, unpredictable. Those are huge insecurities of mine for bipolar. And my friend told me, Ivy was like, you don't have to go into this deep explanation that exhausts you to send like a big text of like, I'm so sorry. And she was like, just say, hey, I'm not okay. It's not today or whatever. And she's like, we get you. And so, I mean, as long as, like you said, you're keeping those people that you are going to be around, whether it's because of work or because of your, you know, your inner circle. If they're aware, then I hope that they would try to educate themselves if they care about you, you know, a little bit more. That's a huge thing I shout on. It's like there are books and podcasts all around, and I might even start a podcast to talk about this.
Right.
We'll see.
I mean, we should.
If I've been wanting to. It's actually been on my mind for like 2 years, but my episodes go up and down. Then I'm like, no, there's enough of them out there. And then I'm like, No,
but I liked what you said about having that pressure on yourself to be better at yourself. Like,
it's like we're not accepting all versions of ourselves.
It's been 4 years, and I'm like, why am I not better at this? Like, why is it when like somebody yells at me, I immediately cry, or why is it when somebody, like, something so small seems so large to me? Because that's a part of my borderline personality disorder, is that every little thing feels like a lot, and it has its perks. Like any like small slight thing can make me so happy, but the slightest things can make me angry, mostly angry.
I catastrophize as well. I make the smallest things huge, and then I take really big things, and I'm like, you know, and I'll try to downplay it, and it's like, that's not healthy.
I feel a lot of extremes. So I think it's something that a lot of people feel, is that like, well, now I've been dealing with this for however many years, and I'm still like not good at it. But the whole point of your mental disorder is that it is a chemical imbalance, that like you can only like cope in a way, like you can only like, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes what worked last week isn't going to work this week. It depends on the moment.
It's not even though what we experience might seem cyclical, like you said, there's always these new levels to it, or a new version, because we're always growing, always in a new state of life, in a new phase, that there will always be something new to navigate. And you're right, something that you might find that worked for you at one point, you're like, that's not helping anymore, what do I do? You know? And I'm like, I'll literally call my therapist, and I'm like, Nate, what do I do? You know, because I'm like, I didn't think I'd be unraveling like this so fast for what seems like no reason. And the point is, mental health doesn't require reason. And we as humans try to put ourselves in this world of reason and logic, and mental health doesn't abide by that. A chemical imbalance in your brain is, you can't, like, it is what it is. You can have medication to help. You can have therapy to help. You can have a scheduled routine of getting good sleep at the same time every day. You know, I try to get like 8 hours, maybe 9, depending on if my mind needs that. exercising, eating well. And I know you and I work on all these things.
Yeah.
And even still, sometimes it still like feels like an uphill battle some days.
Yeah.
But it does help. They do make a difference. That's for sure.
Yeah. I yeah.
I'm like, if I wasn't doing that.
There's like so many sides to that, because there are times where I'm like, eating healthy is what's making me feel healthy.
Right.
And then there are times where I'm like, I'm sad right now and I need to eat a lot of ice cream and pizza and everything. And then I'm like sad about it afterwards. I'm like, well, that was a really bad idea, but I can't take it back. I'm going to work out in the morning. And then I wake up in the morning and I have no motivation to work out. And it's just like things spiral.
That's
and
my downhill spiral.
Yeah. It's just like, it's so normal, you know, like you guys, whatever it is you're feeling, I swear it's so normal.
Yeah. And also know that if these are challenges, that all the different types of things we're dealing with, I know everyone's mental health journey is different, but I think what's similar are the emotions we all experience, and the ideals of like isolation, things like that. But just know that like, if you went through and have gone through these things, you are resilient, because you're here on this live with us now. We're here together and we're talking about it because we made it through.
Yeah.
You know, because we continue to get through it. Even yesterday, anytime, and I always tell people like, because a lot of people who don't understand our diagnoses, like God bless them, they try to help. And I love them for it. But if someone doesn't fully understand, and that's why we have to educate ourselves and others. But some people will be like, oh, well, you just had this new good thing happen to you. That must mean that mentally you're doing great right now. And I'm like, wait a second. Bipolar people and people with mental health conditions in general, any change to your routine, good or bad, can throw you off.
Definitely.
You know?
There's definitely, I have a friend who has an adjustment disorder.
Yeah.
And I have to check on him regularly. And I'm like, how are you? Because this is an adjustment. Everything about this is a new schedule, a new routine, or no routine at all. And that can be confusing, especially when you were at a point where you feel like you had a routine with your mental health. Yeah. And then you were like, here's everything I'm doing every day that's like keeping me content and keeping me happy. And then now your gym is closed, and now the beaches are closed, and
you can't
and you feel like that was taken away from you, that what stability you did have
that was keeping you literally afloat.
And then I just like want you guys to be encouraged that you can find a new routine. There are so many other things to do, and I mean, I don't have all the answers. Like I said, I am just a person dealing with my own shit. But if anybody in here, which I'm sure if you've stayed from the beginning, you have been feeling like this. If anybody's felt down or suicidal or went through something that you didn't think you would ever come out of, like, I just want to say that I'm proud of you, and I'm really, really, really happy that you're here, you know, like really happy.
Seriously, yeah. And I love that we're doing this right now in the middle of it, because things do suck right now. and for the people who they don't suck for, good for you. But even when you reached out to me about going live together, of course, my insecurities jumped on me, and I was like, I need to know my stuff better. And I was like, you know what? All those voices attack me. And the reality is we need to do exactly what we're doing right now, which is just being us with where we are, because I think we, as well as others, needed that refreshing perspective of, hey, you're not alone. This is what's going on right now. Like you said, routines that people had for coping are not even available now. So everyone, not just people with pre-existing conditions, but everyone is subjected to feeling helpless right now, and to feeling isolated and thrown off, and which are all symptoms of depression, you know? So it's like, I don't know, there are options. for things to find to do. I'm grateful that we're now at Zach's parents' house and I have a backyard that I can hang out with. I actually, Maddie knows this because she is Auntie Maddie to little Maisie, but I got an emotional support animal.
Yes, you guys need your emotional support pet.
I cracked. I was like, I need emotional vitality. I need something to give me hope. And so I got a puppy. And yeah, that's a financial burden too, but like also worth it because she brings me joy and she gives me purpose. I have purpose to go outside. I have purpose to have routine with her scheduling and training. I have purpose when she literally, Maddie, I can't wait for you to meet her in person. She looks you in the eyes and she pierces through your soul and she just keeps you present. And you're like,
I'm so excited. Yeah,
I'm going to be okay.
That's a great coping mechanism that works for me because sometimes I'm sure a lot of people feel this way of when you say you're like you as much as you want to be honest about being unstable, you don't want the attention that comes with that. You don't want that sympathy that feels like a little heavier because sometimes it makes like a lighter feeling. Like me, if I'm like I can't get out of bed today, it's like that's way more normal for me than some people. So sometimes instead of being cared for, what I need and what helps me is caring for somebody else. Is like putting the love I need into somebody else that needs it. Because I find a lot of joy in calling my friends and checking up on them because I'm like, I can't talk about me right now because that gives me anxiety and I feel like I'm a burden if I even talk about it. So I want to talk to somebody else. Be there.
I love you being able to call that for what it is too. You know what I mean? Like that's an amazing thing to help you when you're in survival mode and you're like, I just have to get through this day. But knowing that, because the big thing is with mental health, like we get stuck in our head. We get stuck inside. You literally get like paralysis by analysis because I know for me yesterday, even I was like, my therapist will tell me to observe and report. Which is just another thing to add to the list. You know, like you were saying, reach out to someone else and talk to them, hear from them. Where are they doing? Sometimes literally for me, looking at the night sky, someone told me this a long time ago, a director friend, because she was like, it was in the middle of one of my meltdowns. And she was like, I just need you to like look at yourself and then look up and see from up there how small your problems look. And I was like, okay. Oh, and observe and report is good too. If you literally, a lot of people who go through AA do this, but literally step in a room or outside and access all of your senses to help get you out of your head, literally, by just saying, the air smells fresh. You know, I hear a airplane and the sky is blue and I have chill bumps on my leg or whatever it is just to get you into a physical place.
Yeah, because I know with part of BPD is kind of you can lose that sense of reality. Is a hard part.
We get delusional if we get low enough.
Like you'll get to a point where you really feel like you feel like you are the only person ever that's feeling that, and you it's important to connect. I know you can't always get on a plane, but when I am on a plane, nothing makes me happier. And I just got back to LA on Monday and just like looking out the window and like seeing little cars, and I'm like like that person in the car is like dealing with an addiction, or that person in their car has domestic violence right now, and I'm sure they're going through it. Like really going through it. And to see like how small all the cars are, and you're like, there's probably like 3 people in that car like that are dealing with so much on their own individually. And it sometimes it does help to feel way smaller.
And I love that imagery for perspective, because like just even thinking about those random 3 people in that car way below me that I don't even know. The reality is, with the way mental health is not talked about, the stigma around it, I'm so grateful for the people who are voices for it. But there's not enough, you know? And that's why like right now you're hearing so much about like every day we're all having tons of anxiety if you're tuning into the news because you're like, COVID this, COVID that, COVID deaths. And you're just like, I can't even leave my house, you know,
Right.
just like, but people aren't talking about the deaths from suicides or from people who are silently suffering, and maybe they could be one of those people in that car by themselves who have no outlet, no one to connect to, no one who understands them, and they truly think the way I did when I was 18, 19 years old, that I was completely alone and misunderstood and an accident. I thought I was an accident because my brain didn't work, and it seemed like everyone else's did. So I was like, well, maybe I should just not be here, you know? And it's like, all I had to do was start speaking out and finding that. And I, again, like I said, I did my research. I found Catherine Zeta-Jones. I found Carrie Fisher, R.I.P. And I was like, these women are badass women who I look up to, and they had bipolar disorder. Or one of them has. But so I was like, and they have a career, and they have a life, they have families, and everyone's gonna have problems no matter what. You know what I mean? That's just reality. Whether you have, even if you don't have a mental health problem, you're gonna have an emotional health problem because you're a human. You know, we all have to work on our emotions and regulating them, especially right now. Because yikes.
Rough. But even if it's not during quarantine and it's not during COVID, and your mental health is going to last longer than this will. It belongs to you, unfortunately. So we can only hope to keep the discussion open. Not just during this quarantine, but always, you know, I promise to be honest with everybody. I promise to be open. I'm not shy. I don't know. This
is why I love you.
I'm like, I can't think of anybody that has borderline personality disorder that I know of. Or like that I can think of. I'm sure I could Google it and find people, but it's important.
And I can't tell you, you know, like, and I know you felt the same way, and I know people on here, because I catch a couple comments every once in a while that I'm trying to keep up with kind of what is a general feel right now, but I have felt isolated so many times because of my diagnosis. I have felt, and I mean like in public or in group settings or in community, by people who don't understand. And I think right now, Maddie and I hope to be an example that there are people who understand, and we're just two examples. And if there are people that you feel like are not validating you or are making your life harder to live, you have the choice to, you know, surround even if they're your family, because I get that too. Put up a boundary if you have to. I've had to do it, and take care of yourself, because at the end of the day, you want to live, especially with mental health diagnoses, you want to live from a place of internal validation and then live outwards, not needing everyone to validate you outwards to help with the inner part. It starts here, and that's the only reason Maddie and I are able to talk openly about this kind of stuff, as broken as we are, as in progress as we are, is because we do the hard work that is worth it to work on our inner selves. And it's what bonded us as friends, because we were like, oh, you're someone I'm safe with. I get it. Like, you get it. And I asked my friend before I got on this live, because I was like, it frustrates me that our nation's mental health, like, funding is not great. And it's frustrating because especially people without insurance, like, what are your options? I know there are hotlines and stuff, but my suggestion would be to continue to tune in to stuff like this. If you see any mental health talks happening, if you see any, because that is at our fingertips, to access podcasts on mental health that a lot of clinical, like, mental health professionals are leading. And then you have people like us that are just like, hey, I'm no professional, but I'm professional on how to deal with my own stuff because I have to live with myself every day. Because there are resources, and I wish there were more. I wish everyone had the ability to have a great therapist, like, at their fingertips. There's always, but doesn't necessarily have to happen. Like you said, you've been going through your journey by working hard and educating yourself. Knowledge is power. when you receive a diagnosis, educate yourself, because knowledge is not only power, but it's responsibility.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, you have to follow up with like, this is my thing, and I don't have to carry shame for this. And I do carry the responsibility to love myself and to help educate others so they can know how to love me better.
Yeah.
You know?
I know there's a lot of, because I have an authority figure problem. I get it. That's part of the reason I don't like talking to a therapist, because I want to figure it out on my own. And I think those are the same people that aren't. I know a lot of people talk about mental health, and then they'll be like, and call a hotline, and that's your solution.
Yeah.
If that is your solution, call. Definitely freaking call. But for me, I would never be one of those people to call a random stranger and be like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. You know, that wouldn't be me. That's not for everybody. Right. So, of course, call a hotline if that's what you need. Reach out to the resources that are available for you. But also, if that's not your journey, because I feel like a lot of that's not talked about enough for the people who aren't going to be like, I'm suicidal, I'm going to call the number. Like,
Yeah. No, it's true though.
That's the reason why people do commit suicide, is because not everybody wants to call that number.
Right.
It's like, you're not alone.
Yeah.
I promise you're not. Like, I wish I could respond to every message that I ever received, but that's the reality, is that I can't.
I know. And I cannot imagine, especially on your platform now, the messages, because I have people tagging me for you, and I'm like, but I even, whenever I do reach, I try to get back, but there have been times, the most time I am hit up, which I love, is when I talk about mental health, because I'm like, yes, I'm not alone, you know. And I hear other people that are saying, thank you for being open. Thank you for giving a voice to what I'm feeling. I thought I was suffering alone. You know, I'm like, oh, no, you're not. But I think what we can say to everyone is like, the same things we have to say to ourselves every day. I have to do daily affirmations and remind myself to combat those negative voices that'll creep in. And I have to tell myself, I'm loved, I'm special, I am validated, I'm just enough, I am adequate, I'm capable. And I have to say all those things, because I'm hearing the opposite. Some days I wake up and I'm already at a loss. Like, I wake up and I'm like, F this day. Because, you know,
like, the whole day is ruined.
Yeah, I do. And I'm like,
hear that. And I'm just
how do I turn this around?
Right.
And some days it's not even about, some days you have to accept that day is going to feel like a loss, but you still have certain small things in your control to make it feel a degree better. You know?
Definitely.
It's like, if you have the energy to walk, that's a degree better. If you have the energy to call your friend, that's a degree better.
Definitely. Because sometimes you don't want to talk to your friends. Sometimes you don't want to do anything. I'm a very internal person with a lot of this stuff. My jam, and I recommend this to anybody, to at least try meditation.
Yeah.
To at least find something. Get your crystals.
Yeah.
Get your crystals.
Do you do a guided one? I have Headspace. Oh, you just do it on your own. I love that. She's a pro, y'all.
And there's that other vibe where you feel like, because I know for me, I was like, I am not good at meditating because my brain is going a million miles an hour.
Yeah, I have to work real hard.
Sometimes, I think that's another thing. I'm not a professional meditator. I want to speak on somebody who just likes the act of laying on the floor and burning my Palo Santo. It's like, I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't think there is a right or wrong.
But I was about to say, if it's working for you, though.
Yeah. Because it's nice to just lay down and not even just get my mind off of it. Sometimes it helps me to focus in on it and think about everything that's going on, so I can process it.
Yeah.
And separate and sift through what's actually happening versus what I'm feeling, to be like, here's the knowledge that I received. Here's what this person said to me. I know this because this is on paper or like in a text message. Yeah. These are
always
things
keep
that
one with you.
I know are right. These are the things that I know are true.
Yeah.
And meditation isn't always about forgetting everything going on. But there are those times where I'm like, my problems are going to be here when I get done. So I don't need to think about that right now. In 20 minutes, my issues aren't going to change.
No.
So I can focus later.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of people misunderstand meditation. I've learned it, at least with the Headspace app, because I have to have a guide, or else if I complete 2 minutes, I'm like, yeah,
right, like,
you know, Buddha, like, I've learned that it's about allowing all those thoughts and emotions to be present, giving them breath, and saying, here, you're here, I'm here with you. What do you want to tell me? You know, versus just trying to do something about it. You know, it's like, all right, I'll hear you out.
Even if it's so much as like, light a candle and just breathe, because like breathing is
everything.
Such a connecting thing.
Deep diaphragmatic yoga breathing, girl.
Yeah, like don't just. It's very subconscious, and if you can like bring your conscious to it, even if in the beginning you're like, I am conscious that I'm breathing, and then like 2 seconds later you're like, it's cold,
but it's okay. You just go, hey, I love you, girl. You're so ADD. Get back into
you just come back and then get right back on it. Like don't let yourself feel like you're bad at it. Like you're gonna get better, and even taking 5 minutes to yourself and with yourself alone. Lock your phone. Lock your phone. Put on some chill music.
And don't judge yourself.
Don't judge yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. It's easy, I promise. Meditating can be easy. Not like a deep zen, like, but I'm not.
You just have to go into it without expectations, you know? I think that's what a lot of life is. Our expectations are what are our downfalls. You know?
Yes.
Like,
you can get hard on yourself for something that's supposed to be relaxing and easy, and don't put guidelines on it. Don't like Google how to meditate.
No. I've been trying to really hone in on this idea concerning all areas of my life, like my relationships, my career, my mental health, just day to day, is hope for the best, but expect nothing. And it's not a negative thing. I think I've turned it into something very positive, which is like, I would love for all things to go great, but I can't act like I have an idea of how things are going to go.
Definitely.
Because I don't, you know? I never do. And that kind of gives me the freedom to relax on this whole fear of unpredictability and unreliability as a bipolar person. Because I don't know sometimes, especially during COVID with all the extra, you know, conditions of helplessness, and you're stuck and you don't know what's ahead. And our whole entire entertainment industry is on a hold. So like, where's my work? You know, it's like, well, if I don't have expectations, then I'm free to take it one moment at a time, which is hard for mental health people or people with our diagnoses. Is we're very much in the past or we're in the future, but being in the present, meditating is amazing for that, because you're like, I'm gonna be right here, and I'm gonna give all of myself all the attention right now. And it's hard, but it's a practice.
Definitely, practice makes better.
I'm trying to see if I'd written down some things that had just stood out to me. I mean, I like you were saying, have that journal handy to give yourself your affirmations that other people have given you, my therapist's notes, to just remind myself when things get cloudy.
I think ADD, it's very hard for me to journal sometimes.
Yeah. All these, I recommend this highly. There's so many different Instagram accounts that are like for mental health. And they post all these like pretty typography, artwork kind of things that are like little daily devos for me when I'm like scrolling through and I see one that's like, what was the one I read yesterday? Just like the mindful heart and emotions therapy. She literally said, you gain courage and strength for each experience. You look fear in the face and do the thing you think you cannot do. Something like that. So I sat with that, and it's like, I was like, okay, so fear can exist without like fear and courage together. You can't have courage without having overcame fear. So I don't know, little things on all these random, I follow so many of them, and they're like my bread and butter.
I love it. I love quotes, because I will like sit there and
meditate on them. You can
it's somebody putting those feelings into words. It's somebody, because I'm not a writer, I'm not a poet, and I think sometimes you have to sift through really shallow poetry that seems a lot, like, then they're trying to be so deep, and it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And you have to sift through that and find things that you connect with. And I think poetry is really good for my mental health, because I can't write. And
well, it's all based out of feelings, you know? I mean, yes, thoughts,
not like a book
that came from feelings, but
creation. It's somebody making poetry about emotions.
And you connect, you identify with it. You're like, oh, me too. I'm the same way. Whether it's watching a movie, I was watching The Great, which is that new Hulu show with Zach, and at one part he was like, why are you, like, I don't know, there was like a lovemaking scene. But I was just like, that there's so much symbolism in it for me that I identified with. I was just like, I love this scene. And he was like, why? I was like, well, and I broke it down, and it's just art in general, storytelling, poetry. It's just outlets for people to connect to each other through emotion, because words are great. Words don't always resonate, like science, you know, philosophy, all those things. It's good to be in your head, but ultimately what I think causes change is stuff that happens in your heart, you know, or what causes healing. It's like a heart healing thing. And so that all comes from emotion, and what makes you feel emotion, all the different forms of art. Art is therapy. Art therapy.
Art is therapy. Because, like I was saying, talking to a stranger isn't going to benefit me, but like watching a movie that makes me cry or makes me feel something.
And sometimes, especially you and I, were very emotional people. Sometimes we're just so filled with emotion.
Me? Emotional?
What?
Like me.
But sometimes we just need to, like, literally watch something just so I can get the tears out.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, I just need to cry today. I don't know why. I just need to. And I feel great after it.
I like my cry songs. My current cry song.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'll be vulnerable. It's been my cry song for like months. Is Rainbow by Casey Musgraves.
I knew this.
You did know this. I talked to you about this. I was like, dude, I found this song that I.
And ever since you said it, I love it.
I know. I turn it on and I'm like,
Casey,
let go of your umbrella, and I'm like.
But it is so sad and hopeful. You know, it's like,
because it's one of those things that like lets you be sad, and then it's like, okay, but like you can feel better.
Yeah.
Thank you for the option. And
seriously, I think ultimately just like having those reminders, like a song like that like that's exactly what we're doing right now. Although ours is in more of a candid, open discussion way, but like creating a song like that is healing. I know not only for Casey Musgraves who sings it, but like the people who listen and her audience and everyone who's gonna be like, I identify with that. I feel that. That gets me through this. That gets me through that. Music therapy is like next level.
Definitely. It's very healing. Actually, a lot of Casey Musgraves, happy and sad.
You turned me on to her because I'm not huge on country, even though I'm from Alabama. And I was just like, actually, she's doing her own thing. That's really good.
I literally didn't know who she was until I went to her concert, and I was sitting there and she was performing, and I was like, oh my God, I love this person so much. And then and then I went to her Instagram and saw that she's a stoner. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I love you.
Like, I knew it.
I was like, I felt that. I feel like we get along. Casey, if you see this.
Oh yeah, seriously. Maybe y'all could sing together. Y'all, I'm trying to do multiple things for Maddie right now.
I lose my mind.
Get her to sing with all the good singers, because she's just up there with them. Even though you're not known for your singing, you're known for your acting. Let it be singing. And then my personal dream is to be on Dancing with the Stars. And girl, you were like, they would be lucky to have you. So,
who dances? Who?
Wait, what?
Who dances?
You? We both enjoy it, but you need to be on Dancing with the Stars is what I'm saying. I'm saying they would be lucky.
I need to learn how to
back. I don't even know. One day at a time. Because we don't even know if if anyone's going to be gathering in groups over 50 this year, you know?
That's insane.
I know.
Coronavirus.
The unknown, just the uncertainty, the anxiety of it all, the grief of it all. I honestly at all. Honestly, guys, just let yourself feel right now. Song to make you feel better while you feel, do it. But let yourself feel, let yourself cry, I have to do random, like, things for thrill. I don't know. Even if you just go on a real quick random run, you know, just to feel something. It's like, I felt that.
Yeah. Definitely don't forget to validate yourself.
Yeah.
I said this in my Harper's interview. Don't let anybody tell you you're being selfish. If you're not okay, prioritize yourself, please. Yeah. For me and for yourself and for the people around you. Make sure you know that now is the time to be selfish.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Don't let that deter you from taking care of yourself.
I heard, this is a couple years ago, I've got a couple things that I kind of stick by, just like things people have said to me that replay in my head when I'm struggling. And I'm like, I gathered that season. And one of them was, you know, treat yourself the way you would to the person you love most. So like if you are next to someone that you love most and they are struggling so hard, what would you say to them? How would you comfort them? And then place yourself in that chair and do that to yourself, you know? And so I really had to force myself to do that yesterday because I was just being bombarded with my negative thoughts. And I was like, I would not, if you, Maddie, came to me and you were feeling the way I was feeling yesterday, I would never say, you're right, you're inadequate.
Yeah.
You know? I would be like, we are cheerleaders for each other. That's what you do for someone you love. So put yourself in that place of the person I love. And then every perspective kind of changes from there. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it is. I'm still a work in progress, but the whole progress, not perfection thing is a huge, like, I guess, phrase I repeat in my head, because it's like, hey, just doing one thing, you know, better, just trying. I always say to my therapist when he's like, how you doing, Liz? I'm like, I'm struggling. And he goes, okay, I'm proud of you. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you're struggling. It means that you're trying your hardest given your circumstances. That's amazing. And I'm like, so yeah, like, we go struggle people, like, keep struggling, because that's how you get through it. And that's how you be better and feel better. Yeah. Because emotions are temporary, you know, even when they're heavy.
Instagram's going to cut this off, I think.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, I love you, Maddie.
I love you so much. And thank you for everybody who joined. And I hope even one sentence helped you.
Seriously.
If not, I am here to continue the conversation. We'll definitely do this more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like definitely, because this one was more of a, I feel like we weren't able to answer questions. Yeah. But we'll definitely, we'll add to, and I really am wanting, hi Caleb, I love you. I am wanting to start a podcast for real. It's been on my mind for years, and I would love, Maddie, for you, whatever way you're able to be involved, but to give that a place in the space for us to have more discussion with interactions with Q&As and stuff.
Absolutely.
Because it's obviously, I love you. I love everyone here for everyone, you know, whose hearts obviously felt moved the way ours did, because these comments haven't stopped with people just saying thank you and me too.
And it's an honor.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's the way that we're able to take something that's very painful for us at times and bring purpose to it. And not only that, but to help others not feel alone. That's so freaking empowering for us.
This is like not a fun conversation.
Yeah, not easy.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would always do that for you guys. Always.
Yeah. We'll be the voices, and then hopefully more will follow.
Yes.
All right. I love you.
This has been amazing.
Yay.
Thank you for spreading love and positivity always.
Thanks, Jenna. I love you, Matt. I'll talk to you soon.
Alrighty.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Okay, thank you guys for joining, and hope we can do this again soon. Thank you. You're loved.